do you mean? All right, here we go. Thanks for being here. So it's been a moment and a half. We have 3.5 months left of the year: October, November, December. Half of September is done, half remaining, just about. And it got me thinking about goals and how people set goals and New Year's resolutions, and how unfortunately a lot of people are going to start 2024 with the same goals they had in 2023, the same goals they had in 2022, 2021, 2020. Before you know it, you've been wanting to lose 10 kilos for the last 10 years. And I don't want that for you, because you don't have to be in that situation, especially if you have these three lenses. And these three lenses, most people have one or two of the three, but rarely, if ever, do people actually have these three lenses. So when we talk about goals and goal settings, we want to factor in three perspectives: the micro, the meso, and the macro. Now, the way I like to look at this is when we think about athletes who are competing on the world stage, think about Olympic swimmers, and I say swimmers because I was a swimmer, but think about Olympians, thinking about world class athletes. If we look at their macro is usually 4 years, a cycle of 4 years. So they're looking at 2026, I guess, will be the next Olympics, Summer Olympics. Is that correct? 2022 happened in 2023, right? That was Tokyo. I feel like I've been in a time machine and some weird thing has happened with time and relativity and me and pandemic and travel. So my maths may be a little bit off. But in saying that, typically speaking, if we look at the macro, we are looking at a 4 year cycle. Now, we reverse engineer from the macro to get the meso. And for these athletes, that could look like a year to year basis. Typically speaking, it's going to be, 4 mesocycles, each lasting a year. Though, depending on the sport, depending on the season, that could look a little bit different. And then if we look at the micro, well, that's going to look at what we do on a month to month basis and a day to day basis. And then if we look at the mini micro. So if we zoom in, that's going to factor in what we do on a day to day basis. Okay, so how does that relate to you? If you, for example, want to lose 10 kilos, give yourself a year. Make the macro 1 year, because that works out to be roughly 800 grams a month, which is about 200 grams a week. Okay, so from there, you want to go backwards and figure out, what is my meso? In this instance, your meso would be either month to month or quarterly. So, for example, from January to start of April, we want to have lost 2.5 kilograms. Okay, so if we're consistently losing 2.5 grams every 3 to 4 months, that's going to work out to be 10 to 12 kilos over the course of a year. You have to work out what it is you need to do on a month to month basis and a quarterly basis in order to get there. How do you need to live your life? What boxes do you need to tick consistently in order to reach those goals? And then if we reverse engineer from there, what we're looking at is what we do on a week to week basis and what we do on a day to day basis. So most people, when they set goals, they just set really big, loofy, lofty goals. And that's it. They they only consider the next 30 days, and they consider how much weight they want to lose in the next 30 days, and they cut out all the foods they enjoy, completely deprive themselves, punish themselves in the gym, start doing extreme forms of exercise, such as going for 5-10 kilometer runs when they hate running, start doing early morning boot camps when maybe they're not morning people, maybe they don't love boot camps, maybe they don't love being outside, maybe they don't even like group classes, and I totally get that. So people tend to go either end of the extreme. They either want to, for example, run a marathon for the first time in 6 months from now, or they want to lose 5 kilos in 30 days. And what we see is that is very extreme. And of course, because it's extreme, it's very inconsistent. And this is why people don't get the results they want, or certainly they don't keep them long after they get them. This is why it's because they're missing these three lenses. They're missing these three perspectives, and they're not considering what they need to do on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, on a month-to-month basis, on a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis. You want to treat it like a business. If you have a business, if you founded a business, if you're a business owner, female founder, C-suite executive, you understand there are certain KPIs you need to hit in order to have a high-functioning, profitable business. And your health should be much the same. So if we look at a day-to-day basis, what KPIs are you trying to hit for your health? For me, I'm trying to stand 15 or 16 hours a day, and I've already been standing 7 hours, and it's almost midday in Singapore. So that box will get ticked. That's pretty doable, easy for me, based on my lifestyle, based on my occupation. I reach that quite happily. Now, some days I'll get to 17 hours. That's great. That's a bonus. What else do I need to do on a day-to-day basis? For me, I like to train for 2 hours. That's my preference. I don't always have the luxury of 2 hours, but I like to have that time to myself to clear my mind, to be able to sit with my thoughts and capture my thoughts in a list, to check in with my to-do list, to use activity as a way to get my energy out. You know, for me, it's a physical outlet for all that energy and emotion from the start of the day. I like that. Again, it fits into my lifestyle. It's repeatable, sustainable, doable, enjoyable. So that's why it happens. On a day-to-day basis, I'm getting through about 5 to 6 liters of water. So this bad boy here is 2 liters. I have a huge water bottle, which is 2 liters, which is easy because I only have to fill it up 2 to 3 times. Okay. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm getting through about 5 or 6 liters of water. What else am I doing? I'm getting 2.4, 2.5 grams of protein per kilogram of what I weigh every single day. And it's taking me time to get there. It's taking me time to develop this knowledge and understanding of nutrition and its importance, and how I can use that to optimize my cognitive function, my physical performance, energy levels. That's where I'm at with nutrition. What else? I definitely need to be with my thoughts, breathe, pause, be mindful, and I do that. So whenever I'm in a taxi, I set the breathe function on my Apple Watch here to breathe, and I try and breathe in time to the vibrations on my Apple Watch. Okay, so I'm ticking a lot of boxes over the course of my day, and over the course of a week, a month, a year, that compounds. So think of it as compounding interest. Now, this is taking me a while to build up to as well. You should know I didn't magically put together a schedule and routine overnight that incorporates all of this. No, I've worked hard over time to build these routines, to build these systems, to build these structures into how I live. And it's exactly what I do with the high achieving, primarily women I work with as well, but primarily women I work with, is I help them develop these systems and structures in their lifestyle that make it easier for them to integrate everything that I just mentioned: hydration, hours spent standing, step count, protein intake, training. Now, what I do on a week-to-week basis, I just cracked my back. So considering how tired or sore I am, I may need to do some mobility work. I should probably do some mobility work on a week-to-week basis and make a point in doing so. On a weekly basis, I enjoy a really long walk and just breathing in time with walking outside. Being outside, unfortunately, is not something I get to do too often. I'm often indoors. So that to me is great for my headspace. Of course, it's good for the body. It's good for recovery. It's just pleasant. It's just nice to be in nature. I think there's a lot to be said for taking time out to be in nature and off devices, and to just walk and let your arms swing and not have your arms be so Barbie-like and rigid and stiff and stuck. So that can be tremendously helpful as well. On a week-to-week basis, I do Meal prep. I do cook a lot of my food at home. I just like being in control of my portions. I like to know what I'm eating, when I'm eating it, how much I'm eating, and I have great influence over that when I do meal prep. That doesn't take me very long. Again, I over time have built systems and structures to make that a whole lot easier and to seamlessly integrate with how I live. So I know that on the weekend, and if I finish early on a Friday, I might even start early on a Friday. I'm going to be cooking pasta to eat before training. I have yogurt and protein powder set aside, mixed together to have as my mid-morning or afternoon snack. I'm going to have a set number of protein bars in my bag to snack on if I'm in between and not able to sit and properly eat. I'm going to have 100 grams of chicken breast with my lunch, 100 grams cooked, skinless, thanks for asking, because that just feels good for me. That is enough protein for me. I do the same with beef mince because I need the iron. I like variety. I like lean beef mince. You do you, boo. It's not for everyone. I get it, but that is something that works for me. And easy to fold with crepes, or crepes rather. A very, very easy thing to use with like a savory crepe. Also goes well with pasta to eat before training. I know that I'm going to have X amount of bags of frozen vegetables in my fridge at work, or freezer at work rather. Same with frozen berries because that just easily goes on top of my yogurt. That's just it. That's the template, okay? Because I've done that so many times. Again, easy to do, easy to repeat, easy to revisit. And that's what I do on a week-to-week basis. Also training. So 2 leg sessions, a back session, a chest session, a shoulder session, if I really feel like it. And this to me is a take it as it comes ad hoc situation, is arms and, because I hate training arms and abs, more direct core training. Sometimes I do that on the weekend, sometimes not. I will usually train either Saturday or Sunday, not always both. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you want a day of no exercise to just regenerate. So that's what I do on a week-to-week basis. And I build from there, okay? So if I look at the macro, one of my big goals has been to back squat 120 kilos. And I know before I get to 120, I had to get to 100. I got to 100, then I wanted to get to 5 reps at 100. My next goal was then to get to 10 reps at 100 kilos. And then my goal was to get to 3 to 6 reps at 110 kg. And I've since been able to do 6 reps at 115. And I've done 3 or 4 kind of hideous, not so pretty reps at 117.5 kilograms. Okay. That for me has really been a huge macro goal, because if I look at that on the grand scheme of things, that has been a goal of mine for about 5 years. And it's really exciting to know that if I continue to be consistent, which I will because I'm queen consistency, I'm going to get there this year. I'm going to reach that goal of lifting that weight. And it's because of all the workouts I've done before that. I've turned up when I didn't want to. I've trained as hard as I could when I just wanted to do admin, snack, sleep, cry. I've continued to progressively overload. I make note of what I'm lifting, make sure I try and do 1 more rep or add another kilo every single time. And again, that compounds. But until you have all 3 angles and all 3 lenses on your goals, it's very, 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 very unlikely that what you end up achieving will stick if you in fact get there in the first place. So again, to recap, it's micro, and micro for most people is going to refer to what you do for your health on a day-to-day basis. And it's a question worth asking yourself, what do you do for yourself on a day-to-day basis? What do you actually do that moves the needle on your health goals daily? If you can't answer that, we'll start there. Then if we look at the meso, for most people, that's going to be what you do on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. Meso can kind of come in 2 phases. It can be short meso or long meso. So meso basically meaning like in between, if that makes it easier to understand. So what you do on a weekly basis or monthly basis for your health and well-being and fitness. And then what do you do on a yearly basis? I'm the first one to point out, if you live to be 100 years of age, 1 year is 1% of your life. And a lot of people judge their results based on what they do in 30 days instead of applying themselves consistently for 2 years before making an assessment. So way too many people are too zoomed in. They have absolutely zero delayed gratification and they wonder why they go nowhere. That's why. So when you are setting your goals, and if you are in the process of setting your goals or revisiting your goals, dare I suggest you take those 3 different lenses and 3 different approaches and look at how they connect. Also, because if there's a disconnection between your micro, meso, and macro, again, it's going to be a ton harder that you actually get there. Okay, so to really move the needle, you need to tie it all together. You need to connect day to day, week to week, month to month, quarterly with yearly basis. And again, if we take the Olympic athletes as an example, their macro is 4 years. They're looking at what they do on a year-to-year basis and how those 4 years compound to get them to the outcome they want at the next Olympics. So, don't need to be so impatient. No one wins when you're more of an asshole to yourself. That doesn't help anyone get anywhere. So I encourage you to be patient, be kind, and remember that this shit takes time. Okay. Thank you for watching. Any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will come back and answer your questions. If you want a personal assessment on how we can set some goals strategic to you that are going to help move the needle on your health and well-being goals, reach out to me directly and my team will get in touch. I hope you have a good one. Enjoy the day and be kind. Thanks for watching.